In today's project, we're going to use leftover cardstock and leftover iron-on vinyl to create these Easter cards. Let's make this. For today's project, I'm going to use a cutout technique for our Easter card. Now, I've seen a lot of cards that have been coming out recently that have got white overlay with a coloured or a multicolour even background, kind of looking like stained glass but with a white edging rather than black. And of course, now that I go looking for it, I can't really find the one I've seen over and over again. But I've found some examples, and I really like the idea of using the iron-on vinyl to do this, because I'm not really great with layering lots and lots of different cardstock, but being able to use some cardstock and some layering of iron-on vinyl, I think that's going to work really, really well. The materials I'm going to use today are a Cricut card. So I've got the watercolor cards. I bought them a long time ago when I first got my Cricut, and although I've never used them for watercolor, they're a really great sturdy card. So I'm going to use one of those, and I'm going to use some scrap iron-on vinyl as well as some scrap cardstock, because I've got lots and lots of different patterns and things like that. So I'm going to use those for the Easter eggs, and then just some iron-on vinyl for some of the other components. And I've got also a standard grip mat and a light grip mat. For today's project, I'm solely going to use Design Space. So to start off with, I'm going to create a square. I'm going to use that square as kind of like the background. Now, I started making it as a 12 centimeter square, but I think having that watercolor buff or beige color around the edge will also help. So I'm going to have the watercolor paper at the back. I've got an 11 centimeter square, which I'm going to have as a light pink glitter cardstock. So I've made that 11 centimeters. Then I'm going to have some text, and it's just going to say Happy Easter. You can have whatever text you like. And I'm going to use two different fonts for this. So for Easter, I'm going to use a font that I downloaded from 1001 Fonts called Advertising Script. And for the Happy, I'm going to use another one I've downloaded called Brady Bunch Remastered. If you wanted to go back into Easter egg bags tutorial that I did a couple of weeks ago, that will show you how to use Watermark to help you to get a better idea of what fonts you have, because Design Space, it's not as easy to have a look at all the different fonts, but Wordmark makes it really easy. So now I'm going to layer the Happy and the Easter over each other. I just think that I like that little effect where the words kind of merge into one. So, but when you do put that over the top of each other, even if you've got two different coloured cardstock or you've got two different coloured iron-on vinyl, they will blend into each other. So what I've done is I've clicked on the word Easter, and I've created an offset of 0.1. That offset I will now use to create a kind of like a border or a cutout out of the word Happy. So I'm going to select the word Happy and the offset that I've just created, and I'm going to go down to slice. And then I'm just going to get rid of all of the components that are not the word Happy. And you can see as I remove them that we have now created a kind of a little gap or a border around the word Easter that is not something that we're going to have to use any kind of vinyl for, but it is just giving us a little bit of space in that word Happy that we will be able to just fit the word Easter in, and it has a distinction between the two words. So now I'm just going to change the colours. I just do the change of colours for aesthetic purposes, really. I don't think that these are the colours I'm going to end up with, but it's just to help with your distinction between the two words. I'm going to highlight both Happy and Easter, and now I'm creating a 0.2 offset around the two words. Now I'm going to cut this out of cardstock. And I'm going to go into contour, and because we're doing it out of cardstock, I don't want too many little components. So I hid all the contours to start with, But now as I look at it, I think it's probably important to keep some of those holes, essentially, is what they are. And now the more I look at it, yeah, I'm just going to get rid of the two little gaps there in the A, because we are using cardstock. If I was using iron-on vinyl for this background, then I would definitely leave it in there because it's just a bit easier to weed out. But cardstock, it can get a bit yucky when it cuts out tiny little pieces, and I don't want to risk it. I just want this to be a straightforward, quick project. So I'm just going to go along and I'm going to just get rid of the two little components of the A. Now I'm just going to use the images that are in Design Space. You could go out and get some images from Google Images. You could go into Canva, but for this one, there's enough Easter egg images to use, and I think we don't need to add any extras. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to select the eggs that don't have a huge amount of detail that take up the whole egg. So you can see the one that's got the zigzag through it, the detail, the black bits take up a big chunk of it. What I want is ones that have the egg and then some lines through it. So you can see this wavy one, the one with the flowers, the love heart one. See how the detail doesn't take up the whole egg, because the black component in this is going to be what we're going to use for our white iron-on vinyl. So I'm just going to try and find a few eggs, and then I'm just going to arrange them into a little bit of making them bigger and smaller, and something that I think suits a little bundle of beautiful little Easter eggs. While you're arranging it, you don't really have to worry too much at this stage about which ones are in front and which ones are at the back. What you do have to work out is the way they're all facing. So we're going to have to cut each of the eggs separately anyway, but we do want them to be in the right placement because we're going to now create an offset of the whole thing. So I've highlighted all of them, and to start off with, and I've moved them to the left away from our card. And to start off with, I'm creating an offset of each of our eggs. Now, the reason I want to create an offset for each of our eggs is because I need something for us to put the white vinyl onto. And if we just cut these as they were, we just get the white vinyl. So I'm doing a 0.2 offset around every single one of the eggs, and I'm hiding every single one of their contours. So once I've clicked on it, I go up to offset, I change it to 0.2, and then with the offset selected, I go down to the right and click on contour, and then I'm going to hide all contouring. And then I'm just changing the colors. Probably in hindsight, I wouldn't do this because it changes all the color of the eggs, and then you'll see when I go into the mat, I'm going to have to move them all anyway. But as we are designing, sometimes it's really nice to see what they're going to look like, even if it's not the exact colors I'm going to be using, but it does show me whether or not different colors and the different eggs is actually going to be an effective design. So now that I've done that, I'm now going to, on the right-hand side, holding my shift key down, I'm going to click on the offset only of each of these eggs. Just the offset. So all the different coloured ones. And then I'm going to go back up to offset, and I'm creating a 0.3 centimetre offset around all of the egg offsets. So as we build this, we're going to build it layer upon layer. So I'm going to have gold cardboard at the back. Then I'm going to put the little eggs on that gold cardboard. Then I'm going to put a couple of the bigger eggs. And then in the end, I'm going to put one big egg right at the front. So it's going to create that little bit of interest because we're having a layering effect using some foam tape. And you can see that I just changed all of those offsets to white. This is the effect I'm going for. I'm going to use white vinyl on top of each of my patterned or coloured cardstock eggs. So it's just like I've seen it over and over again, and as I said in the intro, I can't find it now, the exact one I've been looking at, but I really like the effect. It's kind of like stained glass, but without the black harshness, because Easter isn't about that really dark, harsh colouring. It's more of that pastel-y, light, bright colouring. So once I've done all of that, I just need to save it. So I've saved it as Easter egg card, and then I'm going to go to make. Now, as I said before, in hindsight, I should have really not done a lot of colour changing here, because now I've got to go through and put all of these different components on different mats, so I can just do 3 different cuts. So I'm going to start with all of the iron-on vinyl is going to go on mat 2. So I am moving, the eggs are already there. I've moved the text for Happy and Easter over to that one. Then I'm going to put all of the eggs on one, because they're all different little kind of cardstocks. And then I'm doing one mat that's got the offset for the eggs, the offset for the Happy Easter, and then the square that I'm going to place straight on top of the card. So this is just me fiddling around. You can do this however you like, but I just find having 3 mats to cut rather than 11, which I've got here, is so much easier, so much quicker. So why not put them all together? Now that I've hit continue, I just need to select my materials. So for mat number 1, which has got all the egg outlines and the text, I've chosen Everyday Iron-On. Then for number 2 and number 3, which has got the solid eggs and also some of those offsets, I'm just choosing a medium cardstock. I am using a glitter cardstock, but it's quite a thin one that I got from Kmart, so I don't need to put in anything special for any of the cardstock for this project. Make sure that you do mirror, before I go, make sure you do mirror mat 1 that's got all the iron-on vinyl, especially because we've got wording on there. And also our eggs are not all uniform shape, so make sure that you do mirror all of those. Now that we've cut and we've weeded everything, and now it's just a matter of putting it all together. So I'm going to start with the Easter eggs. I've got my Cricut mini press iron that I'm going to use. You could use a regular iron, just make sure it's on the cotton setting and you don't have any of the steam turned on. And now I've just essentially all you need to do is make sure that you pair up each of your eggs. I forgot that I had an offset that went around the outside, so to start off with I was very confused, but make sure that just to remember that you've got an offset around the outside as well as the solid component on the inside. When you press these, just give them a little press. Card doesn't need a lot of heat and a lot of pressure, so it will stay on there, and you also don't want to burn the card stock as you go. But just even before I start ironing, I think these are going to be cute. I've chosen pastel-y colours. Again, not really my style normally, but for this project, I think it's perfect. So just going through, and then I'll just give them a bit of a press. I tried to lift the backing tape off a little bit too early, so I just need to cool it down a little bit. But look at them come off. Isn't that cute? I really like it. I know I say that a lot about my things, but I do like it. Now that we've done all the eggs, the next thing is to do the text. Now, you could do the happy first or you could do the Easter first. It doesn't really matter. I just do things in order. So I'm just doing the same thing, just doing a press, not too long, and then I'm going to let it cool down a little bit. I did try and lift it a little bit too early, and the vinyl came with the backing tape. But once I let it cool down a little bit, then it lifted very easily. And then the same thing for the word Easter. Now that I've got all of the ironing done, the next thing is really just to do your layering. So I'm going to start with the glitter. I'm just using a craft glue. This one is the Mont Marte version. I wouldn't recommend, the glue's fine. That lovely little skinny nozzle though is just a real bugger. So for that reason, I would recommend maybe trying to find a different glue. Otherwise, I think maybe I'm going to invest in another bottle, because it's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's too thick for the nozzle size, but I love how it comes out nice and thin. But I just watch other YouTubers when they're doing cardstock craft, and I just think, how come your glue comes out so nicely and mine's like, you can get a sore hand from it. It's that bad. But anyway, it's out now. So just placing that glitter cardstock, really light purpley pink colour. I'm just giving it a little bit of a brayer run over, just because I didn't put a lot of glue down because I didn't want it to ooze out, but I just needed a little bit of pressure to make sure that it sticks down. I haven't gone really hard on it. I didn't want it to move, but I just gave it a little bit of extra even pressure. And now the next thing is to layer on our eggs. So I'm going to start with the eggs. Now, I've got to work out, because my computer is a distance from my craft table. Not a huge distance, but enough of a distance. So I'm just going to kind of work out my layering. It's probably not going to be the same as the layering that I've created on the actual design. But I'm going to first of all stick the mini eggs straight down onto this gold cardstock. So that's going to be my first layer. Then once I've got those down, I'm going to then use some foam tape. So this foam tape that I got was from a local store in Tasmania called Shiploads. You can get this from Spotlight. You probably could get it from Kmart. I have never actually looked. You absolutely can get it off Amazon or probably Temu even, or Shein. But I'm just using little pieces of this foam tape to create the next layer. So I'm going to do the outside eggs. So I've started with the little eggs on the middle. Now I'm going for the two on the outside. Once I've stuck those down, now you can see that I'm just putting tape on the edge of that, on the two edges of that final egg, because I actually want it to sit on top of the two outside big eggs. So it's kind of like the third layer, kind of like making a tiered wedding cake or something. So I'm just layering it up, and I think it looks really cute. I think the idea of it is way more exciting than just sticking them all down. And it just gives it like a little bit of pop. I don't know. I really like it. And then now I'm just using some more of that foam tape. I could put it out of business, really. More of that foam tape to then place the eggs down. But I think before I actually place it, I think I'm going to place the text down first, because I want to make sure that I've got it in, first of all, in the right spot, but also I don't want it to be overpowering of the Happy Easter. Okay, so I'm going to do the Happy Easter first. So same thing, I'm just putting a whole heap of this white tape down. I think this one here is probably a little too fat. But anyway, go on. So I just put all the tape down, and then we're just going to stick that onto our glitter cardstock. And then I'm going to do the same with the Easter eggs. Good does this look? How simple, first of all, how simple is the concept? But just by adding that foam tape, the layering just gives it so much more interest. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy with the way this turned out. I really like the effect using the different patterned cardstock behind some iron-on vinyl, and I like the fact that I've just stuck with white, which, you know, if you've been following along, I really like colours and I really like making things bright, but I think using the white for this one has been the perfect effect, particularly for Easter, because Easter is known for those muted spring pastel-y kind of colours, even though in Australia we are usually having Easter in the winter month or the autumn months. This has been a great project, I think, if you're a beginner, because it is getting you to try out a few different layering techniques. It's also getting you used to using cardstock. I will admit I'm not the best cardstock user, but using the iron-on vinyl with the cardstock has just really changed the way I have confidence in using the cardstock in a lot more different projects. I hope you've enjoyed today's project, and I can't wait to see you again next week for our final Easter project. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget you can always jump on my Instagram, head over to my Etsy store, or even check out the videos YouTube recommends for you down below.